to mention the most important part of this project, and this is going to be the very first video. This is going to be a long series of videos for a couple reasons. One is this project turned into way more work than I had originally intended. You have to excuse the wind noise. I'm hand holding my GoPro, and I don't have a dead cat on it, so wind noise it is. Yeah, this project turned into way more work than I had originally intended, and it's my fault because I didn't, and I mentioned this later in the video, is we didn't anticipate the need for the lighting until we had the steps put in, and it just, yeah, we have to put lights in. We're old, so we don't really party at night anymore. It's more a matter of just, you know, walking down the stairs and not going ass over tin cups. There's also going to be another video of me installing the railing here. I ordered another promenade railing system to install, so we're gonna do another promenade railing video, which actually I don't think I ever put up in my original promenade railing video. Oh well. What's up, Tiki? What's up, you little cripple? Ooh. She doesn't like the camera shoved in her face. I don't blame her. Okay, it's Uncle Fezzy from the future here. I got a little bit of a respite from the neighbors having a pool installed, so I thought I'd come outside real quick and just do a real quick what am I doing? Oh, there's Ralph and Tiki. Come here. Yeah, they're here to inspect the work, right? So where I'm going to be installing the lighting is along this wall here. So it's going to be tucked up underneath here, and the lamp is going to be here. So there we go. So it's all going to be here, and then this is the, hello Tiki, little cripple. So this is the transformer housing. I printed this. I'm not super crazy about this this junction box here, but it's actually working relatively well. The copper pipe comes down to protect this wire, and then I 3D printed this cap for the cable race, which runs underneath the concrete. That's where the lamp's going to go. And then the cable race pops out right here. Now I'm going to build another junction box to cover this. You know, that's what I can do. Pick up my trash here. And then there's going to be a couple other lights. These are the lights here, mounted up underneath, shining out into the yard. So Tiki, the little cripple, can come out, and I'm looking for dog shit. I already stepped in a pile this morning. Gotta fire the maintenance guy. So Tiki, the little cripple here, can come out and take a dump at night and not trip over anything. Oh, there we go. So I guess the other thing I should say is this is the patio that we had installed last season. I think I don't quite remember whether or not I had put a video up. And then this is the final iteration of my screen, kind of privacy screeny type thing. It works okay, but I'm not super duper happy with it. A privacy screen isn't a privacy fence, so no, I can only be so grumpy. Try me. Hey everybody, welcome back to Uncle Fezzi's Mad Lab. What's Uncle Fezzi up to today? Well, here at Stonecroft Manor Hotel, Casino, and Resort, we did a significant amount of landscaping upgrades last year. And I'm going to go over a few of those, and I'm going to show some of the other things that I've built recently, or not really built so much as modified, to suit my purpose, because I'm a snowflake, and everything I have and everything I want is has to be custom made, right? So one of the things that has been an ongoing kind of an issue around here is lighting. Now, truth be told, I'm afraid of the dark. That's why I have a whole shitload of really expensive flashlights. But I also enjoy the dark. I'm semi-private here in the summer. In wintertime, all bets are off. But one of the things with our backyard is there was no actual lighting anymore. When I first moved into this property, there was a shit ton of low voltage lighting that was installed. And it was all rotten, and I've taken probably, I will say on the outside, if I was to replace every single fixture, timers, transformers, everything out, and wire, probably $4,000 or $5,000 worth of low voltage lighting. So now I'm going to replace it all, right? With LED stuff. And one of the first things I have to do is, let's move this out of the way here. It's going to come into play in a minute. Is mount this transformer. I bought the small transformer. It's just only a 60-watt transformer, but I don't plan on putting a whole lot of lighting in. I need to put lights in very strategic places, mainly the new stairs that we had installed, because somebody may have already tripped going down the stairs, because my neighbor has a light that shines into my eye when I walk out of the house in the winter. Summertime, 6 one, half a dozen the other. I got an issue with the light. So, I'm going to show it when we go up and show the install of this little critter here. Why I'm doing what I'm doing. One of the other things was I was very short-sighted when I had them install the new patio and the new stairs, which was I didn't have my electrician here when they did it, and doing so, I shouldn't say I was totally short-sighted, because I did have them I had my electrician install 2 or 3 actually outdoor outlets on the patio side. We hadn't intended on creating the patio that we created, but I knew that I wanted to have a switched outlet out there. And I had the patio guys install a cable race for me, too, actually. Which, my God, you'd have thought I was asking them to install, I don't know, piping in a nuclear reactor. So, I do have a switched outlet for this, but I have a stone wall that I have to mount it to. Now, I'm not going to take this apart because I staked these. So these are nuts. I built this bracket here to hold this unit up against a stone wall. And I also, because, actually it just occurred to me that I may have to take this thing apart again. Son of a bitch. Or cut this. Actually, I think I'm just going to cut it. Because I can't access the screws on the backside. It literally just dawned on me as I went to tell the story here. Yeah, boy, that was pretty fucking dumb. This was an 11-hour print, so I am not going to reprint this. We're going to show the other thing that I printed too, which was a 14-hour print. Because every problem now has a 3D printing solution. I couldn't mount this directly on the wall because it's a stone wall. So what I did was I built this bracket and I built these standoffs. Now these standoffs are a little bit short, so I have to remake them. And I'm going to remake them in TPU for the AMS, which is a pretty stiff TPU. Everybody seems to complain that they don't like it, but the truth of the matter is I kind of like it because it gives just enough so that when I put the bolts in here to hold this onto the wall, they'll deform just enough to mate to the wall. So we're going to set this thing aside for a minute because I just realized I made a mistake with it. Not a fatal mistake. What I'll do is I'll just take my router with a zip bit in it and just cut a hole in this thing so I can access those screws. Actually, I might be able to just do it with a drill. Just drill 2 holes, access holes for a screwdriver. I had to print this twice, so I was a little pissy about that. And like I said, this was an 11-hour print. Well, let's get to the real print here, right? So I bought these lights. I bought these low voltage lamps to illuminate the top of the stairs. You'll see it when I take the camera up there. And these are designed to be stuck in the ground, and they come with these. They come with these spikes. You thread this. I'm not going to do it because it's a pain in the ass. You thread the spikes in, and then you stick it in the ground. Creatures. And I didn't like it. I may still use this design somewhere else, but we'll see. So, since every problem now has a 3D printing solution, I 3D printed this base for this lamp. Because where I'm going to be putting this lamp is going to be a concrete surface. And obviously, without an incredible amount of shenanigans, this isn't going to work to mount it. Now, the upside is, I got to get this apart now. Well, actually, I'll leave it together. So, this was the design that I came up with for a base. Yeah, I know it's real simple. And it has like a, it's not Art Deco. Yeah, I think it's Art Deco. It's very angular. And I put a couple designs in front of management here, and this was the design that management picked, which is fine. I'm perfectly okay with this. But when I designed this, I made 2 really big mistakes. One is there's a significant gap here. There's a significant gap because 2 reasons. One is when I measured this, I measured it. I didn't measure it wrong. I measured it right, but I overcompensated for the size of the hole. But by doing that, I've created a pretty significant gap around this. So I want to correct that. Or I wanted to correct that. The other thing, and this was the more important screw up here, and I'm going to pull this apart now because it's coming apart one way or the other, is I forgot to take into consideration where I was going to put the wiring. So I got out my handy dandy router and I routed this out. Well, as you can see also, it's off center. Now, it's not off center here, but it is off center here, and it looks like shit and I don't like it. The other thing I had to do here was I had to paint this. So this piece was originally printed in PLA, and I painted it. Believe it or not, this paint, this is bare oil rub bronze, and it matches the lights almost perfectly. Well, let's put it this way, it matches it close enough for me. Everybody knows I was an automotive painter for over 30 years, and I can tell you right now, nothing's ever going to match unless you paint the whole thing. And even then, it's plastic, so God only knows what's going to happen one way or the other. Painting plastic is an absolute pain in the ass. So I painted it, and I put it together, and it looked great. The other thing I screwed up was I undersized this hole here in the middle. Okay, so that hole is undersized by a significant amount. I made the hole originally 3/4 of an inch because I didn't have, because this is 3/4 of an inch. Because that's the OD of 1/2 inch pipe but I didn't take into consideration the pipe thread. I didn't take into consideration the OD of the hole, or the ID of the hole. So a 1/2 inch pipe thread nipple will screw right into the bottom of these. But because NPT pipe threads are tapered, yeah, it was kind of a screw up on my part. I knew better, and I was in such a rush to get this thing printed and approved by management, I didn't take any of that into consideration. So what I did was I heated the pipe nipple up, not this one, a different one, and I jammed it into the hole because PLA is super, it's thermoset plastic, right? So you could just heat stuff up and stick it through. Same thing with this. So I took a piece of copper pipe. So that's the other thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to use copper pipe as my cable race, as like conduit to hide all the cables in. I'm doing that for a couple reasons. One is I have no nice way to get this wire. I have no nice way to hide this wire. And the copper is going to eventually, what the copper is going to do is turn brown and then hopefully turn green eventually, and it'll look pretty cool and kind of go with the rest of the decor around here. I didn't want to use galvanized, like nasty ass galvanized conduit, because it's going to look like shit, and I don't want to paint the conduit. I like the copper pipe. It's a god-awfully expensive way to do it, but it'll work. The other thing I did, or I have to do, is I cut the ends off of these. You'll see this when the end's cut off. Because what I'm going to do is, instead of using these, which are just taps, if I was burying these in the ground, I wouldn't care, but these aren't going to be buried. Almost every single one of these connections is going to be in a place that I can't hide this monstrous connection. None of them are going to be buried. So I have heat shrink solder weatherproof fittings or connections that I'm going to use. You've seen me use them in the past, and I'm going to use them again. So I'm going to go grab the build plate, and we're going to see what the new one looks like. Swing. There we go. This right off the build plate. Obviously, you saw me just drop it off the build plate. I did have a little bit of adhesion issues. It's not going to show up on the camera, I know, but I did have some peeling of the part, which has resulted in not a perfectly flat bottom. I knew that was going to happen. The other thing is I printed this in Jessie brand Pet G, and it turned out okay. It did not turn out great. I'm not super duper happy with the Jessie Pet G. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty disappointed with this print. But the upside is we're going to paint this thing anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna paint this, so I'm not overly disappointed. I am disappointed with the way it turned out. It didn't do this with the PLA. But I've got some stringing here, some adhesion issues, right in here and here. Now I set this, so first of all, I need to make it perfectly clear that I had dried the Pet G for probably 15 plus hours before I used it. The humidity here is relatively low, and I still got fuck ups. I'm very disappointed with it, actually, the more I look at it. Now, I did use concentric top filling because I had kind of hoped that I wasn't going to have to paint this thing, but it looks like I'm going to have to paint it one way or the other, which is fine. We have the paint, I have the primer, I have the sandpaper, and I know a guy that was a painter for 30 years. So let's take the supports off of it, or support out of it. My biggest concern here is that piece of copper pipe fitting in this hole. So that was the one thing, the major thing that I did was I added this little access point here. support material should come out relatively easily. And there goes the supports. It actually came out pretty decent on the inside once you get the support out. I could have probably left this in PLA. I actually have PLA that's pretty close to this. I could have printed the whole thing in PLA and been done with it. But the downside of PLA is it's not UV stable. So even if I had printed it in PLA and put it out there, it wouldn't have mattered. Let's check this hole first, which it doesn't fit in. Oh, there it goes. Kind of expected that. I made this hole as oversized as I possibly could. And what's hanging it up is the support material is still in there. I could run a drill bit through it, or I could just smash this thing through with a hammer. That really is all right. So I'm already a little irritated by this. This was a 14-hour print, and actually that's pretty decent. That's pretty much exactly what I wanted. I'm not going to drive it all the way through because there's a shit ton of PLA stuck on there still. All right, so that's decent. Now let's take the next step here is to see if this fits, which I really hope it does. I know there's shrinkage involved with PETG and PLA. I know there's shrinkage. Shrinkage, Terry, shrinkage. I just hope, perfect. That fits much better now. Much better. There's still a little gap around there. That's fine. A little gap I can put. I intend to put sealant around the bottom of this anyway. Once this is installed, it's never coming out, right? So it's getting sealed up. Now, let's see if this fits in the hole. Barely. I spec'd this hole oversized and it's still not fucking big enough. That's irritating. There it goes. Again, it possibly is just because of the stringing of the PETG. There's another spot that didn't print right. Yeah, and as a general rule here, I'm a little bit disappointed with this. All right, so I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to sand this thing, prime it, and paint it. And I may even have to put a little filler in this thing, which is very disappointing. Yeah, it's going to require some sanding. I hope this stuff sands nice. Okay, we'll be back in a minute.